In this video, I'm going to give you the step-by-step blueprint that you must follow if you want to be a millionaire in the insurance business. I'm going to lay it all out for you. You're going to have to actually follow it and execute, but if you follow these steps, the chances of you becoming a millionaire in the insurance game go up drastically. This video is brought to you by none other than Hire Heroes, you guys. Hire Heroes is your one-stop shop when it comes to virtual staffing and making sure that you have qualified talent with your business. One thing that I love about Hire Heroes, you guys, is they've actually gone through the process already of vetting and making sure that your staff member is well trained to best fit your needs. Whether you need help with social media work, posting things on your accounts, responding to people that send messages to your social media accounts, whether you need help with data entry or a multitude of other things that they're qualified to do, Hire Heroes has got you covered. If you're having trouble finding quality talent and number two, affording to be able to run payroll for that talent, Hire Heroes has got you covered with an affordable alternative to have a virtual assistant working for your business. There's a link down in the description of this video to where you can learn more about getting your own VA through Hire Heroes. I certainly recommend it. They're what we use in our business for all of our virtual assistant needs, and you will want to make sure that you check them out today. So you want to be a millionaire in the insurance business? Well, I'm going to walk through with you exactly what you need to do in order to do that. So let's start as if I'm speaking to somebody who is a brand new agent. We're going to give this in a scope that it's going to be able to be followed by anybody at any level. So as I go, I'm going to probably get to where you're at in your career, and you'll be able to kind of pick it up from there. But I'm going to start off with a brand newly licensed person. Okay, so when you're a brand newly licensed agent, when you first get your insurance license, you just get your fingerprints done, background checks done, you just get your first carrier appointments across the board, and you're excited, but becoming a millionaire is so far ahead of you that it's something that you really can't even fathom. And most agents, their first big goal is to make $100,000 a year in income, in revenue. So that's usually where most people start. They don't usually start at the $1 million target. So the first thing you're going to have to do as a brand newly licensed agent is, number one, you're going to need to pick a great mentor. This alone can make you a millionaire in the space. It's going to provide you with more value and more long-term knowledge than anything I can talk to you about in this short 20-ish minute video, okay? A mentor is going to be pivotal. A mentor is going to be key because they are somebody that is going to have 10, 15, 20 years of doing what you want to do at the highest level, and you want to aspire to be like them. The biggest thing I can tell you is you need to pick a mentor that has 3 characteristics. People pick the wrong mentors all the time. If you follow these 3 characteristics, I believe that you'll be able to, for the most part, avoid picking the wrong person, because who your mentor is and based on what they're actually able to teach you is going to mean everything in your career, especially in the formative years. So the first thing that you want to look for in a mentor is, would you trade places with this person? Ask yourself this question. Now, sometimes I'll ask this question to people and they'll be like, absolutely not. I want my family. I want my kids. I love our house, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What I mean is not that you literally take places with them and you're married to who they're married to and that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. Or maybe that is for some of you. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. But if you could take your exact life, your family, your children, but you're in their financial situation and their accomplishments and everything else is the same, would you do that? Would you make that trade? Now, long term, are they where you want to be, right? There is such a thing as working with somebody as your mentor who has mildly small amount of success, but it's success in comparison to yourself because you just got started. You have no accomplishments yet. You don't have anything to compare it to. But if you pick a mentor that's easy for you to pass up, that's going to be a problem. You want to pick somebody that you can't easily pass up and they've accomplished more than you believe that you can. That is a sign and a tail sign of a great mentor. So the first thing is do the Switcheroo Test. would you switch places with this person? Okay. The second thing that you want to look out for is how recent is their success? Was their success in the 1970s, 80s, 90s? Which a lot of the ways that they did business back in that time are not necessarily as congruent to what it takes to be successful today. Are they going to be teaching you to cold call and that's all they know how to do? Are they going to teach you to door knock and that's all they know how to do? There's better ways to do business in 2023. I actually got my start in the business cold calling, and I thought that's what everybody did. Now, I was successful at it, but it took me years longer than it needed to make a six-figure income because I was doing the slow way, the slow grit and grind way that they did back in the day. And when I started doing it, it was incredibly more difficult than it would have been in a decade prior, or 2 decades prior, or 3 decades prior. And I can promise you that it's more difficult today than when I started 9-10 years ago, okay? Now, so that's the second thing. How recent is their success, right? 3, and I mean this when I say 3, do they have resources available to plug you into for training? Do they have resources available that they can plug you into for training? Maybe they're busy. Maybe they aren't able to train you themselves, but they can plug you into a system. Like for us, we have Six Figure Medicare University. There are probably 1,000 agents across the country that get mentored by me without me having to one-on-one take calls with every single one of them. I just can't. It's impossible. It's a mathematical impossibility because there's only so many hours in the day. But I've pre-recorded my best trainings and my best lectures and my best information to put into a private university for them to be able to essentially follow, right? So those are the 3 things I would look for in a mentor. Somebody that's done it, somebody that has recent success, so they have a general idea of what you're going to need to do, and do they have the ability to either spend time with you one-on-one or put you into a training platform, something you can actually learn from, okay? If you have no training and nobody can talk to you, that kind of thing, that's going to be problematic for you working with that mentor. Okay, so the mentor is going to be key. The second thing I would say, the next step along the path is going to be making sure you're in a situation that makes sure that you are going to have the ceiling available for you to have unlimited potential. It could even be working for an organization, having a job. The right situation in a captive environment or an LOA environment could be what you need, because there are great opportunities with that have unlimited potential. I know people that are LOAs that make $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. And I know some that make even more than that. But not every single captive or LOA position is going to be created equal. So you have to make sure that you're in the right situation. Maybe it's going independent, maybe it's going into business for yourself, but answering that question is going to be pivotal. After that, what you're going to want to make sure that you do is master your craft. You need to know and be a sponge to soak up everything about the line of insurance that you're trying to learn. This is going to be extremely pivotal because people will know that you don't know what you're talking about if you don't know what you're talking about. It will show. So be a student of the game. Now, one thing I can always tell you is I see so many people that take that advice and they'll use their working hours to study their product lines. That's not what I mean. When I started as a new agent, I was out in the field selling during the day, and in the evenings, I would take home carrier plans, carrier brochures, booklets, enrollment guides, these kind of things. And I would study them at home, sitting on the couch watching TV with my wife, and I would be glancing at them and learning about the products as I go in my off time. It takes that type of commitment if you want to be great at anything. So you need to make sure that, number one, you're learning, but number two, it's not getting in the way of what I would call income-producing activities. As a new agent, there is nothing more important than income-producing activities. What an income-producing activity to me is not building a website. It's not setting up a social media account. It's not even studying a plan benefit. It is getting out there and sitting with a potential client that potentially might do business with you. That is income-producing activity. It's running appointments. It's having sales calls. These things are going to be the fastest way for you to be able to bring new clients in the door. So you want to learn, but you don't have to know everything to get started. that is something that I would say is one of the most important lessons any new agent can learn, because there's been so many people over the years that feel like they have to know everything and have to be a world-class expert before they can talk to anybody. It's okay to get punched in the face and totally biff on an appointment because you might have not known something in that particular moment. Because guess what? You will learn it faster by going through that experience than you ever would have trying to learn it through a book or a study guide. Experience is our best teacher. I've told this story before on this channel, but I'll tell it again. There was an appointment that I had. So in my first year as an agent, I was making cold calls for people turning 65 for Medicare supplements. And I did not know what I was doing. I was probably 3 months in, and I was still learning. What ended up happening in that point in time was I'd spoken with a lady who had taken down my name and number like 1,000 people did back then, and usually they would never call back. You'd never hear from them again. You'd follow up with them. Maybe you could never get them back on the phone, whatever the case might be. Well, this particular lady called me back, and she told me that she wanted me to come by her house. Her and her husband were turning 65 within 60 days of each other. They both needed to enroll. That is a very unusual thing. And if you're in the Medicare business, when someone calls you back and says they want you to come by, another thing she said that was very, very interesting to me, she said that God wanted her to and her husband to go with me as their agent. She had a message from God, and God had told her that he wanted her and her husband to go with me, that I was the right path for them. Dumbest deal you're ever going to run into as a sales agent, and I knew that even back then, as raw and green as I was. I went on this appointment, and back then I was trained on about 2 or 3 different plans, and I didn't know any of the others very well, but I pretended like I did, and there was a plan that had been talked to them about from another agent, and I was trying to essentially push them into the plan that I thought was best because that's the one I knew best. There was a very specific plan they wanted. It was a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. I was trying to push them into another carrier, and I ended up saying some things about the plan that they knew wasn't true because they had read up on it. And they knew what I was telling them wasn't true. And then they very immediately noticed and saw that I didn't know what I was talking about, that I was brand new. It was obvious to them. And you want to guess what happened? I didn't get the deal. It was a layup of all layups. And I did not end up working with these people as clients. I ended up leaving, and they ended up going with another agent because they lost all confidence in me because I didn't know what I was talking about. Now, the moral of the story is this. Does it suck that I lost those clients? Yes, it's absolutely not fun, and it was a formative experience. However, one thing you might notice is this was probably 9-10 years ago. I still remember these people vividly, and that taught me a very important lesson, and it helped me learn it far quicker than I ever would have watching videos, studying books, reading books, listening to someone train me, because it was a personal experience. It was an experience that I myself went through. I felt it. I heard it. I saw it. I experienced it. And I don't regret a thing, because those kind of experiences early on in your career, they help shape you, and they also help you learn things very quickly. It's almost like when a child walks up to a stove that is on cooking dinner, and they place their hand on the stove. They burn their hand. It sucks. They cry. They're in miserable pain. They have a burn on their hand. Maybe they have to even go to the doctor. But I can assure you of this. That child will never put their hand on the stove again. Such is true with sales. So you want to study as you go and learn things as you go. You don't want to just form all of your information through personal experience, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And the way I'm describing, where you run appointments as much as you can during the day, you meet with people during the day, you get that sales experience, you get in front of people, even if you're terrible, the law of large numbers is going to be on your side, because if you meet with enough people, eventually you're going to find somebody that will want to do business with you when you're learning. But in the evenings, you're doing your due diligence. You're putting in that extra effort. And that extra effort is what's going to put you ahead of your contemporaries, and it's going to be what sets you apart from your competition. Okay? So understand that early on. That is, without a doubt, going to be what's going to separate the winners from the losers. There's a huge, huge failure rate in the insurance space. Depending on your source, there's anywhere between a 90 to a 95% failure rate in the insurance business for people that go into the career of being an agent. The ones that make it, the 5 to 10% of them that actually last in the business, are the ones that put in that extra time. You don't need to be going out, hanging with your friends in the evening, whatever it is that you do. It's time to be a big boy or a big girl and make some sacrifices. I made countless sacrifices in my life to get where I am. People always look at people and say, oh, look at them, they just lucked into it or they got into it at the right time. You have no idea the amount of sacrifice, hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, tears, and everything else in between that went in to them getting to the place that they got to. I lost an abundance of friendships, relationships, experiences as a young, early 20s individual. And I'm okay with that because I was investing in my future. And the first 12, 24, potentially even 36 months as an agent are going to be the most stressful. They're going to be the most difficult because you have to scrape and claw for each and every client that you're going to get. If you can just manage to push through and continue forward, even when it feels like you're banging your head against the wall and you're not getting anywhere and there's no purpose to any of it. We've all had that feeling, and every single person that's successful has the thought in their mind of giving up when it's hard. It's incredibly hard the first 2 to 3 years. And anybody that tells you that it's not is just selling you a dream. They're likely a recruiter, they're trying to hit a quota, whatever the case might be, and they're just not telling you everything with complete transparency. They're trying to sell you something with rose-colored glasses. It is hard, guys, in the formative years, 12, 24, 36 months. But you have to understand income-producing activities and making sacrifices to learn and perfect your craft in the evening. One thing you should also be doing is recording your sales calls and listening to them in the evening and looking for areas that you can do better in. Because there is such a thing as knowing everything there is to know about your particular product line and being a terrible communicator, not being good at articulating yourself over the phone. Maybe your tonalities are all out of whack and they're all over the place. The only way you're going to get better at these things is by recording and going through the painful process of listening to yourself and seeing where you screwed up. If you lost somebody on a call that you felt like you had a shot with, there's something you said along the way that lost them. So go back and listen to the call. Become a student of the game. And this will cause you to really, for the most part, perfect your craft. It's like anything. If you look at professional athletes, football players, basketball players, I'm a humongous NBA basketball fan. So I'll use them as an example. You look at any great basketball player, any truly great. I don't mean, they made an all-star team once because they had a great season. I'm talking about Kobe Bryants of the world, LeBron James of the world, Michael Jordan of the world, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson. All of these guys worked on their game when they had free time in what they call the off season. The NBA season doesn't go typically during the summer. They call that the off season. The great players, you hear stories about them adding things to their game that they didn't have before. LeBron James is a great example. He's one that I like to think about. He is probably the most he probably has the most God-given ability in that any basketball player has ever had in terms of just physical gifts, athleticism, speed, size, everything, right? But what makes him as great of a player as he is, and maybe you think he's the greatest, maybe you think Michael Jordan's the greatest, doesn't matter. I think anybody that's being true to themselves can admit he's a great basketball player, even if you don't like him. And there's a lot of people that don't like him. I get it. But stick with me for the point of this analogy. So LeBron James comes into the NBA, and he's got all these God-given gifts. He's a dynamic slasher to the basket. He doesn't have a jump shot. Doesn't have a post-up game. Not great on defense. But with his God-given abilities, he can be a multiple-time All-Star, probably be a Hall of Famer. But what makes him a top 3 player of all time is as time went on, he worked on his shooting. As time went on, he worked on his defense. He was a runner-up Defensive Player of the Year, multiple-time All-NBA defensive team. he developed a post game. He got together a couple of summers in a row, I read, with Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the best post-up players that there ever has been in the NBA. So he's a student of the game. If you want to be great at insurance sales, it does require, just like anything else, to be a student of the game. In addition to that, don't expect yourself to be an expert overnight. Malcolm Gladwell, in one of my favorite books of all time, Outliers, it's a case study book on the best of the best of the best, the top 1% in any field, business, athletics, finance, whatever the case might be. And in that book, he came out with a saying, or kind of like a philosophy, that has become very, very mainstream and very, very popular. You have to spend 10,000 hours doing something before you can be classified as an expert. So the goal for you as a new agent should be to get a race in to get those 10,000 hours in faster than the next guy. The first person to get to the 10,000 hours wins. Period. And if you simplify it like that, you're going to really, really understand what it is that you need to do. Really, you need reps. Point blank, that's what I'm trying to say. You need lots of appointments, lots of experience, lots of sales calls, dial, get in front of people. And the law of large numbers will do two things. Number one, you will get business, even if you don't know what you're doing, even if you're not confident, even if you're ugly, whatever limitation you feel like is going to prevent people from wanting to do business with you, you will get people because of the law of large numbers. You will. It might be a lower percentage than another person, but you will. If let's say I'm in a sales contest against a contemporary, and they talk to 100 people and they get 10 new clients, and I talk to 200 people and I get 11, I win. Exactly, right? So you can outwork people to make up for your lack of ability or talent. You can outwork them. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Okay, so back to what I was talking about. The two things that it will do by just getting out there and getting the reps in, right, and just going for it and following this blueprint that I'm laying out for you. Number one, you're going to get people, like I said, even just by talking to enough people, law of large numbers. The second thing is you're going to get better at your process and your craft because you're getting more experience. You're getting more reps in. It's inevitable. You can't go to the gym and run on a treadmill every day and lift weights every day and not expect to get in better shape. It's impossible to actually put the work in and not see progress and get better. Okay? So once you've gone through all of this, then once you start to build a foundation up under you, starting to get some clients, then and only then do you want to focus on branding your business, in my opinion. Then you start to brand your business, a name that people can like, know, and trust. You start to develop an online presence. You start to do some of these other things that people talk about. Maybe you hire an assistant to help you get more done during the day. And then you start to really see your business grow and your empire start to grow. But it all started because in the early years and in the early stage, you really just duked it out against a tough industry that has a big fail rate. But it's going to take hard work, but it is very possible for you to thrive in this business. So understanding that process and then adding to it as you go is going to be everything. And if you follow that over time, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, but you can become a millionaire in this business. So some will do it faster than others, but if you just keep looking at it like you're building a house and you're laying one brick at a time and you just keep laying bricks, eventually you're going to get a house. Some people might do it faster, but don't worry about other people. Don't worry about them. That's them. That's their journey. Focus on yours. And stay true to yourself. Work hard, make sacrifices, and continue to improve. And you will be amazed at what you can do with a business like this that has unlimited potential, being an insurance agent. Okay? Anyway, guys, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to hear some thoughts on this. Comment your thoughts down below. If you like what I talked about, if there's anything that you think I missed, if you are a seasoned agent and you might be a millionaire yourself, I'd love to have the dialogue with you. Make sure to drop a like on this video if you enjoy this type of content. It helps more people just like you find this video who need to hear this information. Make sure to subscribe for weekly videos. We put them out every single week. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And I hope that you reach out to me if you watch this video, it spoke to you. And over the next couple of years, you take this information, you execute on it, and you become a millionaire. I hope you reach out to me and let me know so that I can celebrate with you. Here's to your success and your abundance. Thanks for watching, as always. Thanks, guys.